It's not awkward at all.
We're in the press box.
This is the TRT Community Podcast, where we discuss all things testosterone.
Welcome, gentlemen, to another episode of All Things Testosterone. If you're joining us for the first time, we chat about anecdotal stories, hints, tips, and research studies for men considering TRT. Feel free to check out testosteronepodcast.com for more information about our free TRT support community, research, blog, and YouTube channel. You can also text TRT to 66866 to get the newsletter. Today, I'm joined by two familiar voices, Ian.
Hello, Brandon.
And Eric.
Hey.
And we're going to chat about the 10, I won't call them the 10 most common struggles. I will call them 10 struggles that I came up with quickly surrounding TRT.
I like that.
Yeah, because
you could probably look through like the top 10 posts that are in the TRT community and get a pretty good list.
FAQ, if you will.
Yeah, but Facebook doesn't make it easy for content creators. That's what I am now. I'm a content creator. To get that kind of data, you know? They won't tell me where my guys live. They won't tell me what their most common posts are. They'll just tell me that Stephen Geis dominates everything. He posts like 400 times a month.
Does he get the little coffee cup? Is it?
He gets whatever the highest honor is, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have something next to mine. It's not the coffee cup anymore. It's like
Visual storyteller?
no,
Maybe you've posted some pictures.
it's not the visual storyteller. It's like the rising star. Maybe
Maybe.
I think it's because I've done really well in like my first month of
Yeah.
being in the community.
Yeah. It's not Stephen Geis.
Just understand, Stephen Geis, I'm coming for you.
Seriously, that guy, did you see the post that I made last month about the top 10 contributors?
Yes.
Because his was like, he was number one at like 7 million, and then number two was like 100. I mean, he's
Didn't you give
valuable.
away like a steak dinner or something like that?
I gave away Dodgers tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And this month, actually, today, live, maybe with you two sitting right here in front of me, I'm going to use a random name generator to determine who's going to win our next. And you're actually
Like I said, I'm coming for you, Stephen Geis.
Oh, because the podcast.
rating the podcast on
writing a
Apple
review.
Podcasts.
Where are we at in Korea right now in terms of ratings?
0. We're actually big in Malta and Malaysia
Okay.
and Australia and the United Kingdom most recently.
I'll have another shrimp on the bobby.
So today we're talking about common struggles and mistakes. I think the number one is probably finding a doctor. Guys, this is like, guys join the group just to ask this one question. We all know that you find a doctor, they're going to tell you that you're normal. If you go to your doctor, they're going to tell you that you're within the normal range and that they can't help you, or they're going to treat you with a terrible protocol. Injecting every 2 weeks, not doing labs appropriately, that kind of thing. They'll use topicals and pellets and whatnot.
And digital rectal exams.
Digital rectal, yeah. And if you find a good doctor, it's going to cost you, $300 or $400 a month. So,
Well, I mean, that was when you and I first talked about this after I got my labs back, right? Like that was basically the conversation. Like, well, let's go talk to your doctor. It's like, I have no idea what kind of background she has. I have no idea what that experience is going to be like. And I know that you're already treating with a doctor that has experience with this. Like, I don't want to go through like having an uphill battle if I know that like I can just go see somebody that's already familiar with treating guys.
yeah, and that's the number one thing that I want to do is keep, like, y'all don't have to make the same mistakes that I made. So, use the advice. Go see Dr. Eppel. He's great. And a lot of these on this list, y'all probably won't have experienced because of that. But I think y'all will be able to speak to him because you see what the guys are asking, So number 2, I've got just bad protocol in general. And I think, what do y'all think is the most, just bad protocol, what is the most common issue that y'all see?
I think it's too high of a dose into the time, the frequency is not enough for every 2 weeks, 200 milligram.
Yeah.
That's a scary thought because that's just going to make things worse.
Yeah. And that's what I wrote down is injection.
Or like your own
injection
personal
frequency.
experience with too small of a dose once a week.
Yeah. I think that's rare now.
Yeah.
I don't hear anybody complain that, well, not anybody. I don't hear many people complain that they're just not getting enough. It's always, 10 days, 14 days, even 21 days. And I think that's probably the biggest problem.
Speaking to the frequency, I mean, having one dose that's 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 10 days, like I think it was you or somebody else that said, like, you actually end up in a worse position because you basically just lose everything.
Yeah, I say that a lot. It's just enough to shut down your natural production and not enough to compensate to bring you back up above what you were.
Like, I feel like we've talked about this before, right? Like there's no real benefit to a doctor being like super fluent in these things because the money's just not there, right? And it's frustrating because you end up with a lot of people that actually could do more harm than good because they're just kind of taking a shot in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 3 on my list was getting dialed in. Ian, I think you can speak to this one. Changing things. Well, some of the bullet points are changing things too frequently, waiting too long to do labs, or not checking the correct labs. I hear about doctors continuing to check LH after you're on TRT. It's a waste of money. And the fact that they don't know that is concerning because it's going to be zero either way. But you speaking to getting dialed in, I know that's something that you struggled with whenever you started last year.
Yeah.
What were some of the issues that you were having?
Some of the issues, the side effects that I was having, obviously the acne on the back and the chest, some of the aggressive sort of ragey issues. Don't exactly remember, but I remember thinking, like, looking back at it now, like that I wasn't proactive enough with my doctor, and that was that I was going through this, wasn't being forward enough with him to say, I think we should do this, I think we should do that. I had this blind trust in his direction, and it turns out it seems like we were just treating side effects and not really adjusting the dose or adjusting the frequency of the dose. He kept me on the same protocol
And wanted to throw more medicine.
Wanted to throw other medicines at it, which was frustrating me and ultimately led me to feel like I just hit the eject button.
Yeah. I think that's the overarching like moral of my story is that he truly is probably the best, or at least top 5 best doctors that I know for TRT. And even he doesn't get it right, because I am not. Yeah, I agree. I don't want to throw 4 more weekly medications for the rest of my life on top of something whenever you can change your protocol, back off, inject more frequently, whatever you need to do.
Well, you've been on TRT for what, 4 years?
5 or 6. Yeah.
5 or 6 years. I've been on it for 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And you and I are on basically the same, right?
Yeah.
And that's where he started me.
Oh, no. So I actually take less than you. You're doing 200, right, a week? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm closer to like 160, 170, somewhere in there. I don't necessarily love that starting everyone at 200. I think that became a thing like 4 years ago, where it was like guys wanted to really see they just want the benefit and they want 200 plus. And actually, this doctor that we all 3 treat with has prescribed me up to 300 a week, and that was
Is it
that
you said 200 is like anything above that is considered non-therapeutic?
That's when
that's kind of the threshold.
Yeah, he prescribed me 300, so you can go above, but it really, you get judgment. Like if you come into the group and you say, I'm on 250 a week, they're going to say, well, that's a cycle, but it's not. But yeah, that's kind of the weak threshold. Yeah. But I don't really love the fact that a lot of doctors tend to be doing that. So when I started, it was, we're going to start you at 75 or 50 a week. And then it changed to this, we're going to go balls out and we're going to give you 200. I think there's a happy medium, start them on 125 or something and go from there. But
yeah,
I fully expect you to have some side effects and to have to adjust your dosage, but we'll get to that in another episode.
So far, I don't feel, I feel good.
Good.
So we can talk about that more though.
Number 4 on my list is Aromatase Inhibitor. And this is something where I don't know if me and Steven disagree necessarily, but he is all about prolactin over estradiol. And I haven't quite subscribed to that bandwagon yet. There's not enough information out there for me. He's passionate that he seems to be passionate that they're just never needed. And I would say that use them if your doctor has screwed you up. Don't use them consistently. Use them to get yourself normal quickly and then adjust and see what you need to tweak to stay there. But y'all see that that's like a common topic in the group. What are guys saying about AIs?
Exactly what you said. Some are like, you don't need that, and some are like, yeah, I'm on that. The most recent thing that I can recall is somebody was saying that their doctor put them on. I forget what the dosage was, but say it was like 1 milligram a week or something like that. And he's like, I'm taking half of that in a week.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think there's enough. I think there's enough dialogue in the community where people are saying like, whatever dosage it is, it's probably a lot more than maybe what you need.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because the education level is growing, but it feels like this time last year and before, I was getting a lot of messages, like private messages from guys that said that their doctor was prescribing 3+ milligrams a week. And I haven't seen it in a long time, but that really blew my mind. Like whenever I was using it regularly, I would take 0.25 milligrams twice a week. And that after about 4 to 6 weeks would crash me. And to take 3 milligram, it is potent. Y'all know that. It's a dangerous drug, and it will easily make you feel worse than you did before you started TRT, especially taking 3 milligrams.
I would say last year when I was on it at my 8-week visit was when our doctor had put me on an AI, and it's something I wish I had educated myself more on at the time, because I definitely had that effect, and I think you and I talked through that, and he's put me on like half a milligram a week. But after a few weeks, you start to feel that crash, and I wish I had been more educated on maybe switching to sub-Q. And you see some of these things these guys recommend like every 3.5 days, or doing sub-Q, and they can glide along nicely without having to have an AI. Yeah, it's something I regret not pursuing further knowledge of, instead of just, again, blindly listening to the doctor. Oh, doctor knows what's best. Yeah.
I think that a lot of doctors do know, but I think the problem is that he's only going to see you a few times a year, and he knows
maybe
that
3 or 4.
Yeah, he can cast a net and help more people by just saying, here's the AI, versus saying, you really need to be seeing me every week if we're going to get this dialed in. So that's kind of where the group comes into play. You can talk through it, more regularly than your appointments, because it's not something that you can. Eric over here, maybe. Sometimes it is something that you can, like, it's just simple. It's easy to get dialed in, but for the most part, it takes much more than just a quarterly office visit. What about the ones I love seeing? No, I hate seeing when Cypionate is compounded with an Anastrozole. Like, you're going to need this right out of the gate. That's something that a lot of the mail order clinics will do. They're compounding pharmacies.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that.
They will. You'll get your sip, and it's mixed already. It's got the AI included, and it's like, you have no idea if you need it, how much you need. Like, what's the point? Like, you're taking 2 opposing substances at the same time when you could just take less.
Because they affect 2 different hormones, right?
Yeah, but it's like, just back off
without
the test.
HCG, or is it? Could it be
either one?
Either one.
Yeah, either way. It's just like, here's your vial of test, and it's already got the AI in it. And the group is wise enough, for the most part, when they see that, they're like, oh, you need another doctor, and it's true. Like, that's a huge mistake.
That's honestly, like, if you could,
That's scary.
if you could somehow in Facebook, like, poll all of the responses that people have to all the different, like, posts, you need a different doctor or something therein is probably the most common response.
Either that, or they're being a complete jerk. It's like, total douchebag, or you need another doctor, or also with AI, we kind of touched on it, but prescribing it too early. No one should ever be prescribed an Anastrozole before their labs indicate that they need it and they're symptomatic, period. But
what are common symptoms that people have to get them to the point that says, like, I probably need something?
I think the one that is the rarest, but most people have in the forefront of their mind, is gynecomastia. Start developing breast tissue. I can't even, maybe 4 times in the 5 or 6 years we've had the group that I've seen somebody that's actually developed it. So other than that, it's like a lot of the low E symptoms mimic the high E symptoms, but you could start having erectile issues. And, well, for Steven's benefit, I will say this, we don't know for sure yet if they are low E, high E, or high prolactin. Prolactin will elevate with estradiol. So a lot of it, most guys will blame on estradiol, but it could be prolactin. And that's Steven's argument, is that it's not estrogen that's the problem, it's prolactin.
So how do you dial in prolactin?
It goes up with estrogen, and then it would go down with something like cabergoline. It's an additional medication that you can take that'll drop it down. But realistically, I think, like with everything else, the best way to handle it is just to change your protocol. If it becomes an issue, inject more frequently, smaller doses.
Trying to mimic
sub-Q.
the natural.
Yeah. Not trying to do like a
order
once a
things,
week.
yeah.
But a lot of the symptoms are just feeling bad. I mean, you can get headaches and fatigue, and a lot of the symptoms that you had before TRT. It's the same stuff. But when you start feeling that, something's out of line.
Sure.
HCG, and I've said this a couple of times. I've had a really firm stance on HCG, and it seemed like I want every guy on it, and that's not really the case. I'm not currently taking HCG, so it's something that I cycle on and off of because it does make dialing in more difficult. However, what I am passionate about is education, and I want guys to know that you don't have to stop testosterone to conceive a child. You can remain fertile on HCG. That you are losing out on other key hormones like DHEA and pregnenolone and that kind of thing without HCG. Research doesn't really show that you have to have those things, but I just want people to know that without HCG, you lose stuff. With HCG, you don't lose stuff. And I guess at this point, that's just kind of my vanilla stance. I don't have like a super passion for it, but too many guys just aren't aware of it.
I told my wife that if I didn't take it, that the potatoes might get a little smaller, and she was out on that.
Yeah, and that bothers me more than anything when somebody says, "Do I need HCG?" and they're like, "Well, I'm married. I don't care about my testicles, and I don't need to have kids." It's so much more than that. So as long as people know that it doesn't stop with tiny testicles, then I'm fine with whatever. Take it or don't. I don't care. I'm looking at you on this one, Ian. Discontinuing treatment because of side effects. So it's rare, and that's becoming, I guess, the moral of this episode is that it's rare to not be able to handle side effects with just protocol and dosing and that kind of thing. But yeah, you definitely stopped.
Cold turkey.
Because
it was acne like I was 17 again.
And was that all over your body, or was
it was primarily chest, back, no facial really, some neck. I'm trying and shoulders, and then I'm talking these painful
cystic stuff.
Yes, yeah, and it might have been one or two a day, that popped up.
Wow.
And I tried everything that you see in the group. I see a special soap, Dawn dish soap. For me, it didn't work.
Mark told you about Dawn dish soap, I'm sure.
It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work at all.
It's a wives' tale.
Every time people start talking about Dawn dish soap, it makes me sick, remembering having that stupid bottle of soap in my shower and it doing nothing. It dries your skin, that's it.
Yeah, it does that. Special soaps and things like that. And you really have to stay diligent about it. And it's almost, at this point in the year, we live in Texas. Most of us are taking 2 showers a day anyway to have a good night's sleep. So you'd have to maintain at least 2 good scrubs a day with special soap and benzoyl peroxide or salicylic acid.
Those are the 2 things that have worked. So everything about TRT for me seems to be cyclic. Like I can take Dawn dish soap, never worked. But like the benzoyl peroxide, I'm using stuff right now. I think it's like 15% benzoyl peroxide, and it works. Well, it works usually. It's not working now, so it's almost like I get immune to it, and I have to back off and maybe switch to dish soap for a while or something. But it works for a few months, and then it doesn't work for a few months.
Well, and the other thing is too, I'm definitely willing to trade off some acne here and there for a milder form of acne for all the positive benefits that came with it, which there certainly was. However, I approached my doctor and said, this is what, and we threw Bactrim at it, did a course of that for 30 days. That didn't work. And then the next thing was he wanted to prescribe, I think it was doxycycline or something like that, another antibiotic. And that's when I hit the eject button. I was like, I'm tired of. My position was I wanted to adjust the dose, and he didn't want to do that. He just wanted to start me on another course of antibiotics, and I think I'd had enough at that point. So I quit cold turkey. And the acne, honestly, was continued for another month and a half.
Yeah, it takes a while for things.
I mean, I struggle to believe that something that is hormonal driven is going to be cured by something like an antibiotic.
Oh, it'll knock it out.
Really?
Yes. For me, Doxy, and I have it on hand. I have acne right now, so like obviously I'm not taking it. But whenever I would use it, I mean, 2 or 3 days, 6 capsules, and like I'd stop because it dries my skin. Like no acne, no moisture, everything's dry. It really worked.
I would add is that I went through a pretty rough stage of life with acne as a teenager. I ended up on Accutane, which is the nuke for
terrible.
It's terrible for you, and I mean, it probably destroys your liver. And they put those warnings on there that pregnant women, those are
pregnant women can't be in the same room with someone who ever did Accutane. That's
so they take it pretty seriously. So it tells you what it might be doing to your insides. And so I kind of maybe it was some sort of that traumatic feeling of like, here we go again. Like all I'm doing is going down this road where we're going to end up taking Accutane, and my head, my lips, and my everything's going to be dried out all the time. I just didn't want that. So
I don't know much about Accutane except that a lot of people say it's probably one of the most dangerous medications you can.
It's dangerous. It certainly does the trick, but I mean it's the side effects too. It's not good. I can't imagine what it's doing to the liver.
Yeah. So number 7 on the list, and I don't know that this one's super common, but guys will say go get your E2 checked, and what they don't specify is that you need they'll just go get like the standard estradiol, testing, but you need the sensitive estradiol testing. The standard's going to come back and it's going to do you no good. So when you start testing E2, make sure you're getting the sensitive, which Apple will do for you. But that's all.
Thanks, Apple.
Number 8, GoodRx. You mentioned it once or twice in the group. I mention it as often as I can. Guys don't know about GoodRx, and I just want them to.
I swear I see GoodRx commercials all the time on TV.
Right. I don't. And Kevin Epple's the one that introduced me to it 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, they throw it at you in his office. They're like, do this.
You're checking out, hey, do you know about GoodRx?
Yeah.
They've got like coupons
He's
and all
like,
sorts of stuff.
download this app right now with me in the room. And I'm like, okay. He doesn't benefit from it. He doesn't get a kick. Well, I mean, I guess they could be
to me,
him,
that's
but
like a sign of a good doctor, though, because like they care about your well-being, and it's like they're trying to help you get care for the best value possible.
Yeah. And too many guys will just, and I guess I don't use GoodRx for HCG.
The compounding pharmacy that you probably get it from the same place I do, they don't accept anything.
Okay. But is it the one in Frisco? Yeah. Drug Crafters.
Yeah.
So it's
They don't accept
$65-$70 for 10,000 IUs.
Yeah.
Where
And they'll mail it to you.
Yeah. And I just saw some guys talking this morning about $250 for the same amount. I'm like, just make some phone calls. Don't trust your stupid doctor.
Yeah,
It's GoodRx.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that say, oh, I wish my insurance would cover this, or I wish my insurance would pay for it. What they don't realize is that insurance can limit, at least mine would limit the amount you could get at one time. So you'd end up, instead of with a 10 milli bottle, you might get 3 or 4 at a time, or they limit the amount in the month you can get in a certain time frame, or like you can only get this much in 90 days or 30 days or whatever it might be. GoodRx, you just skirt around that, and you have 10 weeks
for
roughly
$45.
40 something.
Yeah. Every time I go to
I think
CVS,
it's $39 right now.
Yeah. Every time I go, I have to say before, like I'm dropping off the script. I'm like, I don't want to use my insurance. I'm going to use GoodRx. Please fill it as it's written. I don't want 4 1 milliliter vials. You know, and I get back and they hand me the bag and I open it up and it's 4 1 milliliter vials or a 5, and I'm like, I'm going to kill someone.
Yeah.
You have to go inside and say, this is not
It makes
what my
your
doctor
life,
wrote.
your TRT life, so much easier.
Yeah.
So-
I should have calculated how many times I've had to do that over the years. Every 10 weeks for
And on-
5 or 6 years.
So
Infinite,
Kevin's
too.
office sent over my prescription. This is when I first got prescribed. Sent it to Walgreens, and I go, or no, it was a handwritten, so I had to go drop it off.
That's the
So
best
I-
way to do it.
Yeah,
It's
so I
handwritten.
drop it off, and then before I even left, I said I want one 10 milliliter bottle of the 200, and I don't want the individual 1 mil. Like I don't want the individual bottles. I want the 10. That's what the prescription says. I'm not using my insurance. I'm using GoodRx. All right, no problem. I get a message like an hour later from Walgreens. Your insurance, there's been a delay on your prescription because of insurance. Please call us. So I call in. I'm like, I'm not using insurance. What was miscommunicated?
Yeah, I'll get those texts too every now and then, but then I'll get one 3 hours later that says I'm not proactive. I don't call them, or reactive. I don't call them. I just sit and wait, and then they'll, you're whatever, it's ready. They usually work it out themselves somehow. I don't know if that's like a default.
They have notes in the computer.
That's probably just a generic default. We're delayed. Let's blame it on insurance button that they click, and it sends a
They need
text.
more time.
Yeah. Number 9, and if there was one thing that I could ask people to stop asking me privately, it's where to inject. I don't give a shit where you inject. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You could inject in your delt. You can inject in your bicep, in your pec. You could inject it in your penis. I don't care. It doesn't matter. People get so hung up on these like little nuances of TRT that don't make a difference. Inject it in your quad, you might bleed a little bit more. Inject it in your glute if you've got the dexterity in your shoulders. I can't reach my butt to do an injection, but if you can, go for it.
You and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
The thing for me is the ability to grip it and press with my thumb.
Yeah.
For me, that's why I do it in my quad, because I can sit right on the edge of my tub. I've got my thigh exposed and I can do the outside of it midway up, and very little pain. It goes right in and it's super easy. I will say the one thing that I've heard people talk about, and I've tried it the last couple of times that's actually helped, is so I draw and then I take the syringe and I put it under hot water in the sink, and it does warm the oil up enough to where it actually goes in a lot smoother and you don't have to push as much.
Yeah. What are you 27 gauge?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just switched to 30 and I'm not a fan at all.
You probably have to push super hard.
I'm conditioned
Aren't
to
you
push.
have you
Has your
bent
syringe
needles a little
exploded?
bit?
Yeah, they bend because I'm like shaking trying to push so hard. And I'm not saying that it can't be done. And a lot of guys look at 27 gauge that way, but 27 is like perfect for me. I'm conditioned for 5 years to push with the perfect amount of pressure, but 20 or 30 gauge is rough.
I swear I saw somebody the other day say that they were using a 22 gauge 1.5 inches.
I mean, it happens.
Oh, my.
It's a hole punch. It's ridiculous. So the number 10 common struggle / mistake is listening to bros. And because there are so many nuances that do matter, not injection site, guys give advice and then the advice seeker will just switch things. They'll cut their dose in half. They listen to too many people, and you really have to listen to your body. And once you get accustomed to, if you can get past like a 6-month mark and you're just accustomed and you know how you're going to respond to things and how you're feeling, you can do it yourself. But that I'm saying all this, I really kind of hate that number 10, not listening to bros is kind of a weak thing, but I think I'm going to leave it in this episode anyway.
But I think there's validity to that, right? There's a difference between science and bro science.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a difference between like, well, this worked for me and it's kind of anecdotal versus this is just kind of a generally accepted, like a lot of people are doing this.
A collective knowledge of sorts, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess if I could pinpoint it further, it would be if someone's telling you to do something drastic, probably don't do it. If they're telling you to pick up an extra injection day, go for it. If they're telling you to drop by a fraction of your dose, go for it. But don't cut your dose in half because some guy with muscles said so.
Or start stacking all these other supplements with your protocol.
Yeah. Anyway, I appreciate you guys' input.
Y'all.
No, we're not in Texas.
Totally in Texas.
That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the TRT Community Podcast. You can find us online at facebook.com/groups/TRT Community.